Hey folks, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. I hope everyone's doing well, having a good day. Please like, share and subscribe. Trying to grow the channel. We're not far off 1,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing. I never thought we'd get this far, but hey, we're on 840 something. So let's see if we can get over the 1,000 hump, shall we? Anyways, after that plea for your help, let's get on with talking boxing. So, British Boxing Board of Control Trainer of the Year, Don Charles, has given 2 interviews that I've seen, one to Ring Magazine and one to Talksport. So I thought I would provide you all with a synopsis of what he's had to say in both interviews. Sort of bounce back and forward, try and keep it in some sort of order. But it's a distillation, if you like, of his comments that he made to both those media outlets. So he said, first of all, he spoke about his successes, that how many people he trained, to what level he trained, and how God is great. A lot of God is great. Even more God is great. That's a bit of his sort of style, I suppose, at the outset of most of the things he talks about. And that he was ultimately blessed to get Daniel Dubois, who had it within himself to become a world title. He'd said that he trained many others who had failed to achieve such levels. It sounded awkward. I'm sure he didn't mean it to sound awkward, but it did sound as though he was sort of blaming the other people he had trained for not achieving world title stature. At the same time then taking credit for bringing Daniel, where my mind is going, to that level. So it was awkward. Anyhow, he certainly didn't engage in any false modesty. But to be fair, it's difficult to address such questions. Like, he's obviously achieved this award, and it's hard, I suppose, for him anyhow, to be humble. After waiting so long to achieve a world title with a fighter, he's been out there quite a bit talking about things, and humility doesn't come easily to him, shall we say. With respect to Joe Parker, and Andy Lee, Don Charles reiterated how very disappointed he is in Team Parker. He tried to draw a parallel between Dubois pulling out of the Parker fight and Vladimir Klitschko pulling out of the Chisora fight that was scheduled in Germany, Mannheim, I think, back in 2010. And it's actually not a bad analogy, to be entirely fair, though Dubois, of course, was radio silent for 35 days, and he doesn't want to talk about that. He did say, with full fairness, that Parker ended up getting a fight and getting a paycheck, and that Parker shouldn't be moaning. He says he has no love for Andy Lee and Parker anymore. He feels that no boxer has ever been persecuted the way that Daniel Dubois has been persecuted after pulling out of a fight. And I actually left a comment on the Ring Magazine interview and said, well, maybe he would have gotten more sympathy if he hadn't been kept locked away for 35 days of radio silence, that Team Dubois owed the fans more. I suspect that my comments will get deleted, certainly won't get responded to. Don Charles is convinced that if Daniel Dubois gets in the ring with Usyk next time, he will right a wrong by any means necessary. We have this by any means necessary thing going on again. And he went on at some length about how it wasn't a low blow. He was 2 meters away. He had a perfect angle. He saw everything. Again, more of the same. Criticism of Usyk and whatnot. But that, Dubois will right a wrong. Which I would prefer him to say, if we get a rematch, we're going to do better. and we're going to win. That would be great. That's good stuff. That's what we want to hear. But the right or wrong stuff, that's just getting boring, to be honest. It is what it is. He did say that he didn't actually say it. He implied it, that even after Usyk had been given 5 minutes rest, which is kind of weird, as though Usyk was the only guy getting rest. But anyhow, that he should have gone out and won the fight. Which is kind of, again, strange, since I don't think Dubois won 1 minute of any round prior to the low blow, and he didn't win 1 minute of any round subsequent to the low blow. But hey, that's my perspective. I'm a Usyk fan. I saw the fight. I've seen it several times. One guy's opinion. If you're a big Dubois fan, your mileage may vary. He said that in response to a question that he was asked on Talksport, he said that he didn't see that he would be training Anthony Joshua. He respected that Spencer Oliver had raised the issue, but he didn't think that that was going to happen. He did say that he trained Anthony Joshua prior. He brought him up to a certain level and, took credit for that. Let me see. He said he talk of Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. He didn't say he was surprised. He said, and he certainly didn't shoot down the idea, and he said that he wouldn't be surprised if it happened, which is interesting. I suppose, of course, in today's sports world, which is what he was talking about, anything can happen. And then he spoke about the Chisora mandatory. He said he wouldn't like to see it. He said that he had trained Derek Chisora for, I think it was 38 fights. He'd brought Derek Chisora to these high levels. But he didn't think that he would want to see the Chisora-Dubois fight due to Chisora's advanced age versus Dubois in his prime. And I would agree with him there. I mean, I don't think any of us want to see, is it 41-year-old? Anyways, elderly and shop-worn Chisora in with 27-year-old Dubois. Don Charles reiterated that he was the original coach for Chisora. He didn't want him to risk his health. I think we'd all agree with that. But he did want to see him get a payday. He then went on to talk about, he knew that Derek Chisora would always beat Joe Joyce, which again I found interesting. Is that hindsight is 2020, or is that something that he really always knew? If we go back prior to Joe Joyce getting beaten by Zhilei Zhang, I would have put quite a bit of money on Joe Joyce beating Derek Chisora. But hey, I'm not a boxing coach. Don't know these guys. Maybe Don Charles is speaking frankly when he says he always knew Derek Chisora would beat Joe Joyce. To me, it looked a little bit like, the rearview mirror kind of comment. But that's my take on it. So anyways, there we are. That's, two fairly lengthy interviews, giving you a synopsis in under 10 minutes. But if you want more information, it's The Ring Magazine and Talksport, and you can listen to Don Charles yourselves. My own view, I think I've made it clear before, is that I find Don Charles to be very tiresome to listen to. He did say one other thing. He got a little bit angry, actually, when the interviewer on The Ring Magazine, I think it was, suggested that maybe some people out there may be saying that you owe Joe Parker a fight. He got very, angry, and we don't owe him anything, and wah, 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 wah. Tiresome. It's kind of like false anger. Whenever he's pressed, he gets really angry. And I find it really I find it annoying that he would speak so poorly about Andy Lee, a pad holder talking about a former world champion. I would pay to see the two fight in a Misfits fight, to be perfectly honest. But hey, that's unlikely ever to happen. Anyway, there we go. Have a fabulous day. I will see you on the next video. Cheers. Bye-bye.